Greetings everyone. Today we will discuss a topic that is nervous tissue. What is nervous tissue and how it helps in our body? Okay. Firstly, nervous tissue is originate from ectodermal origin. What is original? Ectodermal. But this is the ectodermal origin, but there is an exception, that is except microglial cells. Okay, fine. Now, if I'm talking about what is ectodermal origin, then after we can say the major function of nervous tissue is to control and coordinate our body, our activities, everything. Either is voluntary or involuntary. Voluntary means that is are in control, and involuntary means that was not in our control. Okay, fine. If I'm talking about nervous tissue, it consists of many cells. And which kind of cells? It consists of two major cells. First one is neuron, and the second one is neuroglial cells. These are the two types of cells from which nervous tissue comprised. Okay, so if I'm talking about what is neuron, neuron is a structural and functional unit. Structural and functional unit of nervous tissue. Okay, this is the basic cell, we can say. And the major property of neuron is that it is not divide, can't divide. We can say can't divide. Okay. A simple example, when we are discussing there is an injury in our brain, so we can say it's more, we can say crucial. Okay, why? Because neurons can't regenerate. Why they can't regenerate? Because they can't divide. They can't divide. Okay, but these neuroglial cells are called nerve cells. This is not basically helps in functioning of nervous tissue, but it helps neuron to protect, to nourish. So that's why this is called nerve cells. Okay, but one thing more, they can divide also. They can divide. So if we're talking about any tumor regarding brain, okay, so in brain there is tumor, so these cells can't divide, but tumor is caused by neuroglial cells. So because they can divide, they cause tumor also. Fine. Okay. One thing more, the basic, there is a one function of neuron also, that is there is a property excitability. They can easily excite and carry the signal with the help of conductivity and excitability. These are the major introduction of nervous tissue. It consists of two cells, neurons and neuroglial cells. Fine. Okay, then if I'm talking about brief, we can if I'm talking about brief knowledge about excitability. Okay, fine. If I'm talking about nervous tissue, that is neuron, so structure of neuron, I'm discussing structure of neuron. Okay, see, there is a basic structure. We can, you also know that neuron is known as longest cell of our body, because it is of vary with size also, but it is the longest cell. Okay, so this is the structure of neuron. Okay, there is a three basic parts. First part is dendrite, where the signal receives the first part of neuron. And in center, there is a cell body, the second part, which is also known as perikaryon. Okay, fine. And in between here, this is the cytoplasm, but in case of neuron, this is known as neuroplasm, and in center there is nucleus. So I can say this is nucleus and this is neuroplasm. One thing more, that is known as nasal granules, the small particles. What is nasal granules here? We can say it's a simple, we can say proteinaceous substance. That is, we can say this is the small particles of RER or ribosomes. Nasal granules, RER or mass of RER or ribosomes. Okay, so basic question, function of ribosomes. We are discussing this topic in chapter cell. What is ribosomes? And ribosome is an organelle, it's okay, fine, but the function of ribosome is, we can say it's a major function is protein factory, the formation of proteins. So nasal granules helps in formation of proteins, and here the protein's name is known as neurotransmitter. What it means? Neuro, that comes from neuron word, and transmitter come from that help in transferring the signal from one neuron to another neuron. Fine. Okay, these are the two parts. Okay, we are discussing the parts. This is the first part, this is the second part. Then after, if I'm talking about, okay, this is the third part, that is known as axon. The third part is known as axon, and the layer, the outer membrane is known as axolemma. Fine. Axolemma. Okay, one thing more, there is two types of axons. One is myelinated and another one is non-myelinated. Okay, the question here, what is myelin and what is non-myelinated? Myelinated means there is a myelin sheath outside the neuron. So see, this is the neuron, this is the myelin sheath, we can say. Okay, and how it forms? There is a specific cells that is known as Schwann cells. Okay, Schwann cells. Schwann cells. These helps in formation of myelin sheath. Fine. And this is known as myelin sheath. But there is a gaps between the myelin sheath. We will discuss why these gaps are necessary. So these gaps are known as nodes of Ranvier. Are you getting my point? What is nodes of Ranvier? That is the part between the myelin sheath, we can see. Fine. So we will discuss dendrite, that receive the signal. Then after, signal transfer to the central body, that is known as cell body or perikaryon. Then after, the signal carry forward to the axon layer, and then after, there is axon ending. There is axon ending. In axon ending, there is small vesicles. That is known as synaptic vesicle. And where from this word comes? Vesicles mean the circular organelle. These are the circular one. And what is synaptic? See, this is a neuron and there is another neuron also. The conduction of signal is through conductivity and excitability. Fine. So I am taking a simple example. Take a wire. Okay, if the current flows through a wire, if I seems like if I cut the wire, should I say the current will be carried forward? No. So like this, if from one neuron to another neuron there is a gap, that gap is known as synapse. Synapse. This is the gap from one neuron to another neuron. The gap between one neuron to another neuron is known as synapse, and how the signal conduct I will discuss it later. Okay, so in synaptic vesicle there is a proteins that is synthesized by Neisser granules. Earlier I said what it means, that is neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitter. Now you can easily relate whole function of neuron. Okay, the signal arrives from dendrite, then after Neisser granules helps in formation of neurotransmitters. Then after these neurotransmitters come at the synaptical vesicles. After the signal arrives here, there is release of some chemical so that there is no loss of any signal that continues with another neuron. Okay, fine. This is the basic structure of neuron. Okay, I'm discussing about the nervous tissue. There is a one cell that is known as neuron. The another cell is known as neuroglial cells. Neuroglial cells, that is of many types. That is nerve cells. I'm taking some examples like macrophages. Macrophages is simply helps in engulfing the cell debris. The all cell debris we can say that digest by macrophages. The second one is astrocytes. Okay, the word macro matlab larger, then after phage is that phagocyte, so the name is macrophages. The second one is astrocytes. Astro means star shape. The shape of astrocytes was star shape, and cytes come from a, we can say, a cell. So this generally helps in blood-brain barrier. These all are nerve cells, no? So these are helping the neuron, blood-brain barrier. Here last time a question is here that which cells are known as blood-brain barrier and why? So astrocytes are known as blood-brain barrier because they form a barrier between the blood vessels, and the second one is the neuron. So they form a barrier, and this is star-shaped. We can say like this. That. Fine. Okay. There is one more cells that is known as oligodendrocytes. Oligodendrocyte. What it means? I am telling you in earlier neuron that the myelin sheath is formed with the help of Schwann cells. Okay, fine. But there are two systems in our nervous tissue, that is CNS and PNS. CNS means central nervous system, that consists central brain and spinal cord. Fine. The another one is peripheral. The left it cranial nerves and any other nerves that included in peripheral nervous system. So in CNS, the oligodendrocytes helps in formation of myelin sheath. So help in formation of myelin sheath in CNS. Myelin sheath in CNS. Is it clear to all? These are the basic neuroglial cells. Okay, these are the basic function. So if we carry forward further, the function and the conduction, if we can say, firstly the conduction. How the conduction taken place? Okay, firstly signal comes to signal comes to dendrites, then after cell body, then after we can say axon and axon ending. Fine. If I'm talking about, this is the axon ending, okay, and this is the another neuron. And this, there is a gap is known as, this gap is known as synapse. Before this synapse there is presynaptic membrane, before, after that is postsynaptic. So this is presynaptic and this is postsynaptic. Okay, fine. So signal comes, there is a release of neurotransmitters, the chemicals. Why it happens? Because when the signal arrives, there is a calcium channels that will open. So due to calcium channels, these vesicles merge with presynaptic membrane and releases the chemicals. These chemicals get attached to specific membrane that is known as postsynaptic membrane. Then after, signal will continue. Here the two types or more, that is inhibitory signal or excitatory signal. The last one, inhibitory and excitatory. Okay. If the signal inhibits the another neuron, that is known as inhibitory. If excite the another neuron, that is known as excitatory. Okay. Inhibitory depends upon if that chemical binds to K plus channels, potassium channels, then it is inhibitory. If it is excitatory, it binds to Na plus. Fine. There is one example, inhibitory, example of neurotransmitters, GABA, glycine. These are the, we can say, the example of neurotransmitter. Inhibitory neurotransmitter. Okay. And for excitatory, neurotransmitter binds to Na plus. The example is epinephrine, that is a hormone also. Acetylcholine, that sometimes that work as inhibitory also, depending upon the condition. Okay. So these are the basic examples. So in this video we include all the structure of neuron and how it works, the simple conduction. Okay, fine. Thank you everyone. Stop करना. Excuse me sir. Stop करना है.